Yeah.
Turn that radio off.
A little background music.
Summer, the wheat, the fields,
Definitely getting added.
a lot of church dances with Garth Brooks. Okay. This episode is going to be a little bit different. We got a DM, and it actually came from the UK from it was actually a follower that has been following a lot of the stuff that we're doing. What we decided to do was surprise them, and it actually was set up by Matt's girlfriend. Matt had a birthday, and we were set up to be a Zoom call to his family for the birthday, and lo and behold, it was Ben and I on the other end, having a drink with him, talking about his dog Pippa, and it was kind of a fun episode, a little bit different than the ones we've done in the past, and possibly a direction that we're going to go with a little bit more in the future. So enjoy this one. It's set up a little bit different than our traditional video blogs and podcasts, but I think you'll like it.
Matt, I want to say hi.
What?
Happy birthday, mate.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing real well. How are you doing?
Good. Bloody hell, yeah, good. Very good, mate, yeah.
Happy birthday.
Well, it's just real. Yeah. Bloody hell.
It's real.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I love your videos. Absolutely love it.
Awesome, man.
You sent a couple, haven't you? So
Yeah, I've sent a couple of videos, and we said that we've obviously been following your channel, and Matt literally is like just non-stop
I watch
watching.
hours and hours. I'm probably on episode 50 of the Bella one.
Sure.
Go and get Pippa. So we got, I had a lab, unfortunately my first lab died back in April, which was very sad. I went to a gun dog trainer with her and learned just as much as what the dog did. But she died back in April, and then we just got another pup 4 weeks ago. So
yes, well, I saw that's your girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
So she sent me some messages. I'm sorry for your loss. It was Poppy, wasn't it?
Poppy, yeah.
I'm sorry for your loss. I've been there. I know it's tough.
I can tell by the things you say on your videos. You love your dogs, absolutely. It's very personal to you, and it's the same with me. And that's one of the reasons why I can tell your passion just through what you do and how you deliver the videos. It's really amazing.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad. I thank you for the support. I thank you for reaching out to me here to set this up. I understand we're a little early. March 5th is your birthday? March 5th?
5th, yeah.
So we're a little early. Now, I see you got yourself a cold one, so I told Ben here, it's a little early on our time.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna toast to that one.
Cheers, thanks.
No, and you're drinking Coors Light. I'm a little surprised at that.
Well, I've only just started drinking it the last couple of years, and one of the local pubs had it on draft, and I love going for a beer after work on a Friday before COVID times, and they had Coors Light on tap, and there's a few of us that go down, 4 or 5 of us after work on a Friday, and we just drink Coors Light, and it's the perfect beer on a Friday because it's so refreshing. And
it's light. I'm glad you like it. We're drinking Busch Light, which is, I would say, pretty comparable. Little watery probably from what you're used to. That's why I was impressed by your willingness to drink our beer.
All sorts of beer.
Or the craft. Do you have many craft beers over in America now?
Yeah, and it's become real popular, and there's a lot of them. I'm not a beer snob by any means. I like it either wet or cold, so one or the other. It doesn't really matter. There's quite a bit, but I'm a Budweiser guy probably most of the time.
It's nice.
Nothing too fancy. So,
but hey, this is Pippa.
Yes.
She's a little beauty.
And how old right now?
She's 12 weeks, 12 weeks. And I've been training her out in the garden today, and she is, well, as you saw from the video, I can't believe how well she's doing. She's such a quick learner.
Yeah.
amazing. It really is. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun with her.
Sure. Yeah, and that's one thing that I can say. After watching some of the videos, both the ones that you have sent, but then also I've stalked your page a bit too. I mean, dog's a pretty big deal on this guy's own Instagram page, right? So I've stalked.
This one's time for that.
Sure. And so I've watched, and it's, it is clear you've come quite a ways here, and so I like it. I think it's refreshing to see that. I think it's real important to point out the idea that I think it comes from you jumped on it right away. You didn't allow a lot of bad habits to form. You started getting into forming desirable and good habits right away, which is totally the key. And I think, that's where I see it a lot easier for you down the road. It's going to make it a lot easier because you're not going to have to train stuff out. You're starting. With that being said, just like I do, I always run into some issues. I'm always going to run into some problems. But knowing that you've got that good foundation underneath you, that's the key. That's what you're always going to go back to it. And usually when I run into issues, I find the fix for it is going back and revisiting some of that foundation stuff, because somewhere along the lines, something happened, and I don't really care what happened. It's what I care about is what do you do about it then? How do you respond to it? How do you react to it? But so far for you, I look at, boy, you're doing really well. And I think I like it because I also get a sense, and I'm going to probably get more of a sense after we talk a little bit more, but I want to understand a little bit more of where you want to go with it, how you want to get there, because I think I see a lot of people have good success early like you're having right now. The biggest issue that I see pop up is almost going too far too fast, and then it catches up. Because I always tell people, just be patient and enjoy it. It's a lot of fun when things are going well, which makes us want to keep going. But the reality is I don't think we can speed the puppies up. Like, they're puppies. They're so capable of a lot, but we can't force them to get older quicker. We can't force them to mature quicker. And so most people, you're not there yet, but I think you're kind of right on the cusp age-wise with that pup, that you're going to start to see, it's the idea of like the honeymoon. Everything is good on the honeymoon. When you're honeymooning, it's everything's really good, but honeymoons don't last forever. And the reality is when things start to get a little bit tough, that's where you fall back on the foundation. And I think that's true with relationships. If you're talking honeymoon stuff, it's really true. It's true with puppies. It's true with everything in life. So I do think that you probably haven't seen it yet, but you're gonna. And then my hope is that foundation is solid enough where you just go, we're just gonna take a step back and slow it down. It's controlling that enthusiasm, that drive, that momentum that we have to want to push the dog so far. I'm not saying that's what you guys are, what you're seeing are gonna. I think it's what most people see. So. Give me if you could, and this is your time, so we can talk about anything you want. But I get more out of it, and I think I can help more having a clear understanding of like, where are you going with it where do you want to be in the end? And then I think it's easier for us to look at that and go, that'll be fun when we get there. But that's this far out, it's a ways out. Yeah. I think the key is to enjoy it between right now. Enjoy it from when you got her, 4 weeks. Would you get her at about 8 weeks old?
About 7. Yeah.
So you've had her for a little over a month now. And I can see from your videos that I've seen, I think you're really enjoying her. Like,
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
And so now it's continue to enjoy that next window of time, which for me, I don't know if that ever ends, quite honestly. Like, I just think it's an ongoing thing,
But like you say in your videos, it's you never stop training. It's a constant thing. You can't just pick it up for 10 minutes a day and then put it down and then pick it up for 10 minutes. Like you say, it's a constant thing. And having had a previous dog, that's given me a lot more experience for Pippa this time round. Sure. But watching your videos, I've just learned so much because, and a lot of it is patience, which is what you've just been saying, and just be patient. And I only do probably 5 minutes with her a day, and I know that's enough. And watching your videos it gives me the confidence to keep going, knowing that I'm doing the right thing and I will get there at the end of the day.
Sure.
And I think that's what you're trying to put across in your videos. And it for me, it comes across clear as day, and they are so good. Amazing. Really.
That's awesome. I want to be clear with you too, and anyone who's going to watch this one even, it's tough to film stuff. It is tough because it adds an element. I think for you, look at this as an advantage, and anyone else that's doing the same thing that you're doing. Because I'm amazed at how many people are doing it and enjoying it, and that's what fuels me. That's what motivates me and pushes me to keep going, is feedback like that. But when you realize you got an advantage because there's nobody over your shoulder, I got Ben right here. Ben is tremendous. I mean, he's such a big help for what we're doing. But Ben, and it's not personal, Ben, don't take it personal, but Ben gets in the way, like the camera gets in the way, because the camera affects me, because I think about it. It's impossible not to, but it also is a benefit for me too, because it's another level of, it's a little guy on my shoulder that checks me to remind me of be patient. And I think you have to do something repetitious consistently to form the habit with the dog. I think you also have to do it in your lifestyle. So I've become a more patient person because of dog training. I've become a better dad because of it. I've become a better husband because of it, better friend, because go down the list. I think I'm a better person because I think about stuff a little bit differently. I've also gotten older, and I've also kind of changed. Things have changed in my life. And I think that's an evolution that everybody goes through. The beauty of it is the dog really emphasizes it for me. The dog brings it out in me, because it's that constant reminder of it. So I want you to remember, when you watch those videos, it's such a short snippet of the day. I try to do them as honest as possible, and I try to do it as unedited as possible. We try to do it pretty raw. And
that's what's really, sorry to interrupt. That's what's really refreshing about it. It's unedited. It's real, and you can buy DVDs or videos of training dogs or whatever, but they only show you the snippet of the good bits.
Yeah.
Your videos, you see everyday real life, everyday stuff.
Sure.
And you see some of the dogs, depending on what mood they're in, what the temperature's like outside, what the weather's like, they might take 2 or 3 steps back. But
sure.
But it's having that patience and that confidence to know if you just carry on doing the right thing, you will get there at the end of the day.
Yeah. And it's so I think I say it to be sure you realize and recognize, like, I try to capture that the best I can in the videos, but then it's just such an extension of that. It's such an ongoing thing throughout the day, which is why I feel like you and so many others can adapt to this idea of always learning, always training. They're always learning, we're always training. And so I can't explain it any better than, and I try to tell people this, if you have kids, you get it because you got kids. If you don't have kids, you were a kid. So you should get it anyway. I should be able to touch everybody with this comparison. Kids don't get trained for short periods of time throughout the day. When kids become part of life, it's like we're still big kids. I'm a big kid. I learn a lot of stuff all the time. And it's this idea of the dogs are the exact same way. It's just role reversal as far as where we step into this idea of their leader, and they're going to follow. If you give them a good leader, they'll follow you. And that's where I've seen you be able to do it. I notice you get good eyes. For that little puppy, you get good eyes. I see a lot of pictures where she's looking up at you, a lot of videos where and so feed off of that. That's the part of that little puppy that gives you energy, gives me energy to go, I'm going to keep feeding that. But it's always that back of the mind of feed the right stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So where are you going now? I got a little bit of info about you because you're going to be, you and I obviously we hunt a little bit differently over here. But I'm pretty aware of I think I know a bit about how you guys do it, but I've never done it. But your shooting is a little different over there. Some of the the peg type shoots, the driven type shoots. A little bit different than what, Callie, a dog I'm training right now. We're just doing a series on it right now. She's very much going to have to get kind of changed to the style of hunting that we're going to be doing with her. I just wrote an article about it for a magazine here called Gun Dog. And we're talking about like, she's going to be a flushing dog, almost work like more like a traditional spaniel for you guys. Quarter and cast, flush, retrieve. And so her owner, that's the type of hunting, rough shooting. Don't you guys call it rough shooting over there?
Well, rough shooting is more, I'd say, pigeon shooting. Then there's, but what I do is I also beat. So what I want her to do is I have the odd few days shooting, so I need her to be a peg dog.
Sure.
So my mum's husband runs his own shoot, so I go and also beat for him. So I don't want her to be a spaniel, but I want her to have some of that in her.
When you say beat, you're saying beat, not bait, right?
Beat.
Beat, yeah.
B-E-A-T. So beating is flushing the pheasants out of cover or woods. To get them to fly at the end of the line.
A driver. Like over here, you'd be a driver.
Yeah,
like would you drive?
Yeah, the driver. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But with that, you do need some quartering skills, and so they don't go too far away from you, but they're nice and tight, and they're going left and right, and
good range.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's another good thing about your videos. Your every dog is slightly different, so I can pick different things out of different videos to train her to be exactly how I would want her for me.
Yeah, it's a custom. You're going to be custom molding it to what your style of hunt is going to be, to what your lifestyle is going to be. Some people keep dogs inside, some people keep dogs outside. There's just a different lifestyle. I'm not for or against any of it. I just think that it's got to fit you guys. It's got to fit what you guys are doing. And so I with Callie, she struggles to get out because her foundation is so damn good. Like, she's really solid on heel, but that's what they trained her for. They were not going to flush with her. They were going to use her to pick up. And so she's got, she's about 16 months. So she's got 14 months of habits that are formed real solid. And now I have to figure out how to like unwind some of that stuff and kind of rewire it is how I'm going to do it. And so, but again, like I'm an efficiency guy. I like the idea of efficiency. And when I look at it now, I go, if she were my dog from the start, I wouldn't be having this challenge right now. So like, I'm going to become a better trainer because of her, because if she was my dog, I wouldn't be dealing with this. Like, she'd get out, she'd have nice range. She might not have as good a heel work because she's got such good heel work. I may not have put that good, put it into her that well. So it's make no mistake. Like, I'm learning, like I'm trying to figure stuff out. I ran into a hell of a time with her, about episode 7 or 8. Like, it's a mess. You'll love it. It's a real mess. I mean, it didn't go very good. And then we've had some real cold temperatures here. I mean, we haven't been above 0 for 2 weeks now. So like, we haven't done much outside of very, very minimal stuff outside. So, but I had this moment where I had to go, stop worrying about it. It'll be okay. We'll figure it out. And I thought about it, and I figured out some things in my head that I'm going to try, but now I'm just waiting for the weather. But like, I think we're going to do things differently. And I'm excited to share it with you guys through that series, because it will be different than what you have seen with, Name the Dog on any series, because it's just she had a different starting point. So, it's nice for you because you're going to mold Pippa into what you want. And that might be different than what Tim down the road wants, or Joe from across the street wants. That doesn't matter. Like, that's what Matt needs, Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And it's like Bella. I've watched loads of the Bella one. And like, you had the opposite problem with her. She was too steady, and then you had to unsteady her with with the food.
Sure.
And I'm having the opposite problem with Pippa as to what I thought would have. She's really steady off the lead, but I can't. As soon as I put a lead on her, she goes mad, doesn't she? She thinks it's like a play thing, so she rolls on her back. She starts biting the lead. So
She's like a 12 weeks, and one of the things you said, we were like, you need to remember, like, yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we're perhaps pushing it too early for the lead.
Yeah.
I don't know what the appropriate time is to introduce the lead, but she had her last job yesterday, so she'll be able to go for a walk for the first time outside next week on Thursday. So maybe that will be different. She will be distracted with the whole outside, and then she will not pick it on the lead.
I suppose we're kind of hoping that she's going to concentrate on everything outside rather than the lead, but we don't know yet until next week. So
now, and so this will be a good reminder for you going forward too. Keep in mind, really young, 12 weeks. So and this is like about that 12-week range is usually when I see them get to the point where prior to 12 weeks, most times, most dogs, I don't necessarily see a huge need for the lead because now this depends on where you're taking them. If you're taking them down, if you're taking them outside where there's cars and stuff, you gotta be careful because that by 12 weeks, I can't catch them. They're faster than me. By 12 weeks, if they want to run away, they can, so you gotta be safe about it. But I live way out in the country and I don't see a lot of traffic, and I certainly can get where there is no traffic. So when we're talking 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks old, I really see this tendency for them to have a bit of hesitancy with their confidence because they go, I don't know that I want to be that far away from him. I don't know that I want to just run off. And so they're already like kind of, and so I always talk about taking advantage of that time frame and making sure I practice recall and they get this habit of, coming to me and get out so far and come back. I think it's an early way of developing that range, that desirable range. You get so far away and then you check back in. You get so far away, you check back in. And there's ways of doing it where I'm silent. That's the other thing I was going to mention. When you watch some of those films that I'm doing, I'm a real jabberbox, man. I talk a whole lot, and I need to shut up when it comes to the dogs. Like it'd be way more effective if I was quiet. But it's very difficult to convey to you.
Yeah. What's going through your head.
Right, exactly. So I think a lot of times, going for a little walk with this 10-week, 12-week-old puppy and just letting them get out to a certain distance, I'm paying attention to them and they're maybe paying attention to me to a degree, but they're also getting to that point now where they get a little bit more confident, they get a little bit more bold, they get a little bit further from me because the nose leads them to something, because they've settled in to this comfort zone and their personalities are coming out. And so at those moments are when I just turn and I walk away from them without saying a word. And then they look up and they're scared because they go, he's gone. He left me. And when I read that body language, I go, no, come on, I'm right here. And all of a sudden they go, holy shit, there he is. Got to go. Yeah. And they come running, and then they start to learn, maybe I should pay a little bit more attention. Now, at some point, they're going to get to the point where they go, see you, Dad. I want to go. And that's where I start to go. And it's not so easy necessarily to get them back because they go, no, I'll stay over here for a while. And that's when this little light bulb goes on in my head. And I go, well, it's time to put them on a lead. Because if they run off and I can't get them back, I can't allow them to have the opportunity to run off and not be able to get them back. Because if I can't enforce it, if I can't get them, then what? So I go, well, I got beat this time. You beat me. But next time I'm not going to allow it. So now it goes back to this idea of setting them up to be successful. So now I say, come on, Pippa, let's go outside. I know what you're going to do because you did it to me yesterday. You ran off and you won't come back. And I was maybe upset about it at the moment. I don't hold grudges. I let that go. I said, I'll learn from it. Now today we're going to go out, Pippa, and you're going to be on a lead because the second you want to run away, I'm going to go, not today. You're with me. And now you look at it and you go, I don't really have to get mad at the dog. I don't have to get upset. I don't have to try to figure out how to trick them into coming back to me. But I get through this next phase of this little puppy and then this little puppy goes, I can't just run off. Now he's got another layer of control of me. Now, that's where the need comes in. Like it's a timing thing of when it's needed. And when maybe just before that I start to recognize and realize it's coming, where I want to start to introduce that lead, because, you know, you've got a dog right now that you put the lead on and she thinks it's a game. I mean, it sounds like it kind of wants to play, roll around.
She thinks it's a play thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why, and didn't we message about tie out? Did I message you about tie out? Or was that somebody else?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, the tie-up method. Yeah, you did.
So it's a good time so that's the reason I like to tie a pup out, like at that age, 10 to 12 weeks. I think before that is a little early. Like, I think it's a little bit shocking for them to be left alone like that. And I don't necessarily want them questioning anything as far as like their trust and confidence in me. So I don't necessarily do it real early, but 10, 12 weeks, that would be a good age. But so we just put a stake in the ground with a short lead, 4 foot maybe, and a flat collar, not a slip or anything like that, just a flat nylon collar. And then I leave them alone, and it becomes miserable. And warn your neighbors, because, you know, they're going to know that Pippa's out, because she'll whine and she'll cry and she'll fuss and she'll bark and but she's going to pull. She's going to pull on that, and she's going to want, you know, she's not even going to know what it is at first. And she's going to run, and she's going to catch herself and startle herself. And then she's going to panic a little bit. And sometimes they freeze, and they all respond to it a little bit differently, but they have to learn to figure out that when they pull on something, that it's not going to give in. They're not going to just turn the stake isn't going to decide to say, I give up, you can go. They're going to end up wrestling it out. And I don't want to be on the other end of it, because it's not the most pleasurable thing for them. But what they need to understand is, if I pull, it's uncomfortable. If I just move closer to the stake, it turns the pressure off, and it's not that bad. And quite honestly, it's not the worst thing in the world to be just sitting here. So now all of a sudden the light bulb goes on to them of, if I pull, it hurts. If I go close, it turns off. And now that discovery comes without me being on the other end of it. Because me on the other end of it, I've got emotions. I get worked up. My dog wants to nip and bite and pull and bark and whine and fuss, and I get a little upset about that. And all of a sudden now I'm correcting the dog, and I'm pulling a little bit too hard, where I get involved with it and I screw it up. And the other thing is the dog says, you're the problem. You're the reason I'm having this discomfort. I don't want that. So let them figure it out with an inanimate object. I don't care if they hate the stake in the ground. I want them to love me.
You would leave them completely outside on their own.
Completely. You watch them, they can't see you, because it's too tempting. If they can see you, they're going to go, Mom, Dad, come get me. Yeah. So yeah. I go and I close the door and I watch them through the window, and they don't realize I'm right there. Yeah. And I watch it and they fuss and they fuss and they fuss. Now, I have had some dogs that will fuss for 45 minutes, an hour before they show any signs of giving in. They almost tire themselves out to the point where they just finally give in and quit out of exhaustion. I've had some that pull, and then they just go, and they go closer and they lay down. And so it's reading that and then going, I think timing is real important. And so when they give in, when they say, I give up, I'm done fighting you, I realize if I stop fighting, it's better. They take this deep breath, they lay down. I'll count maybe 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. Make sure that it's not just temporary, that they're going to start fighting it again. Make sure it's a real, I give up. They're waving a white flag. And then I open the door and I walk out and I go, oh, very nice, Pippa. Well done. I pet her. I tell her how good she is. And I said, come on in. Let's go inside. I unclip her. I bring her inside, and we're done with it. And so then we'll redo that exercise until it gets to the point where the fighting becomes a lot less duration-wise to give in. And then all of a sudden, pretty quick, you got this dog that you can take out and clip onto that little short lead. And she goes, no reason in fighting it. I'll just be here. They'll come get me. And all of a sudden now they give in. And so now when we go to the idea of putting them on a lead and she goes out and wants to run and jump in front of me, I just give her a little bit of pressure, and she thinks, she can't help but think back to that idea of being tied out in the yard and go, ooh, that's that same feeling I had on my neck. Get back to the stake. Turn it off. And so now I can be there to be like, oh, good girl. Very nice. Mark, let her know that was a good decision. So now she comes a little closer. And so, and then pretty soon, because you've got that good eye contact, pretty soon she understands that you're on the other end of that, and she'll start looking up at you, because she'll go, what do you want to do? And now she's looking to you just like she comes to you and sits down and looks up to you. What do you want to do, Dad? Now she's going to look at you and she'll and she'll start to develop feel of where her shoulder is to wherever you ask her to do it. I think it's real important to start right away in the right position. Don't let her take a foot or two ahead, because she's going to start thinking that's where it's supposed to be. It's way harder to get her conditioned to that and then bring her back in than it is to just say, let's start out right here. If anything, start out a half step back, because as they naturally take that extra half step, she's right in the right spot.
Yeah, and then there's that trick that you do with the lead, putting the lead behind your legs. So when your legs go back, let the legs be the checker. And that's something that, there's a guy, Talamy, Mike, I think is his name. It's a DVD. He's a British trainer. What's he called? Google it. It's Talamy, I think is his last name. Tallamy. He's got I think his name is Mike. Ben's gonna check it. Yeah, Mike. Brindle Bay. Yeah, Mike Talamy is his name. Great trainer. I've got a video. They have a really nice series. It's called, maybe see what that series is. It's called Life of a Gun Dog, I think. It's like 9 videos. I bought them. I bought them and had them shipped here. Really, it's really interesting. They have 4 dogs out of the same litter, and they raise these 4 different dogs. And so you see a lot of differences out of it. But real good. And so I never did that behind the legs thing until I watched that video. And so I usually held it across my front and I'd be here to make a correction. Well, then I realized if I just drape it around my legs and I hold on to the other side, my legs actually act as the constant correction for the dog. It physically, if the dog moves out too far as I'm taking a step, it's this natural little bump. Now, I don't think that's the way I don't start out that way. I use that as my regulator once the dog understands the concept. Yeah. So just going back to putting her on the peg in the garden, how long? Yeah. So Pippa's age, 12 weeks. Yeah. How long would you let her whine and scream for? I know you were saying like 45 minutes. Is that too much for? As long as it takes for her to stop. So what you can't do is, if it's an hour, it's an hour. If it's 2 hours, it's 2 hours. Well, most dogs will tire out by then. But what you can't do is now we got to think about the mentality of what is the dog getting out of this and what are they learning and why? So they're learning that if they pull, it's uncomfortable. If they get close to the object, it's not. So that's one thing. But they're also learning that if they're quiet and not making a fuss and not wrestling with that damn steak, Dad's gonna come out and get me. If I'm quiet, he'll come and save me. So the idea is, if they fuss and they whine and they make a hell of a lot of noise, and you go out there, the next time they're gonna say, "What got him out here?" Whining, fussing, and making a mess, making a big scene. So next time, what their mentality is, do that, because that's what got him out here. And I'll do it that much longer, that much harder, that much louder. So we have to time that reward, which it is a reward for you to come out there and take them off the lead is a reward. They're getting what they want. Yeah. But it's got to be correlated and timed out with a desirable behavior. And that desirable behavior is just sit there and be quiet. And what'll end up happening is eventually they get so comfortable with it. I think it's a really nice skill to have. I think it's how important it is to me to be able to tell a dog, just sit. And they sit down, and then I go about my business. I do my thing, and I trust them. I believe that they'll just sit there. I love the way that all your 3 dogs will just have their own place in your lounge and just stay there and just watch what you do all the whole time. So valuable. Right? It's so comfortable. It's such a nice thing to have. And it transfers to the field too. I use it every day just in my life, but it also transfers to the hunt. And so, we're going to be moving, we're going to be packing this stuff up. We're going to be doing this, for us over here, we're setting decoys. We're putting out, if we're duck hunting, we're going to put decoys out. We need to do all these things. And if there's a dog running around and getting into stuff, and it's a nightmare and no one likes it. So what I like to do is to have the ability to go, sit down,
And then that means they sit and they'll wait until I say, okay, now you can come with. So that's a real nice thing to have. But when they're real little, I'm a believer in the idea of I have to give them a lot of focus. And if I've got a lot of other things going on, I'm not focusing on them. They know it. If I'm distracted by something, they know it. And all of a sudden the little puppy decides to creep and I don't catch him. So now I turn around and the dog's halfway closer than it was. And there is absolutely no way for me to say, no, go back to your spot unless I catch him doing it. So if you don't time it right, it doesn't work. And so the idea of having the ability with a young dog that I'm a little bit concerned with, I don't want them running around, and there might be danger if they run around. So I'm going to say, put a stake in the ground, have a 3-foot piece of lead and put the lead on and say, now I'm going to go do this thing over here. It's this peace of mind that I know the dog is right where it needs to be without the idea of me having to watch it. When they're older, I'd like to be able to say, sit down. But until that point, it's a great skill.
It's really interesting because I'm always conscious of that. She's very young at the moment, and she's my previous dog I had from 6 months. So she'd gone through the puppy stage mainly. She was a young dog when I had her, but she'd gone through the real puppy stage. This is our first puppy, like proper puppy, from very young. And I'm always conscious of not pushing it too far in case I scare her or I do more damage than good. So it's really interesting that you, even at her age, even if it went on for 2 hours outside in the garden, just let her do it.
Yeah, so to that point, I like hearing you say that. To me, I'm looking at it and I'm going, you're thinking a lot about the big picture. So you're thinking about the idea of what impact might this have? And I like the idea of that. I like the idea of understanding like everything's connected. So let's be careful of what we put in and make sure it's not negative. I think, and so it's clear to me too that not a lot of dog. Like is this your second dog total that you've trained?
Well, yeah, our own dog. Yeah.
Sure.
We had dogs in the family as when I was kids, but my own dogs. Yeah.
So this is really number 2, and I'm looking at that and I'm going, there's a point where people are paralyzed because they're not sure. We're afraid to make the mistake, so we're afraid to do anything. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you have to be aware of it. And so I'm not saying that's what you have at all, but I do think that hearing that there is that sense of not sure in your voice when you say, I'm a little hesitant to do it. That doesn't mean you're afraid to do it, but it also tells me that you're not so confident that you're just going to do something. And so I'm a believer in the balance.
Yeah. It's because I haven't been through, I'd say, proper training. This is my first time at proper training, and I don't know enough to see what comes out the other end. So I'm going on more the cautious side than the sort of pulling the China shop side, because I'm just... Yeah, exactly, and that's why I find your videos so fascinating, because I've just learned so much from them. And you don't. It's not a lot of it's what you say, but it's also your body language and how you deal with the dog with your body language as well. Sure. Just little things like when they're sat down and you're walking around them, just when they're pups and you put the lead down on the floor, you don't walk up to them face on. You side up to them. Sure. Just tiny things like that just tiny details like that make all the difference.
Yeah, and it's understanding that that's how they talk. It's understanding that, and then it's also because I've walked up to them so many times where it makes them kind of duck out on me. I've realized I can't do that. I could continue to do it, but it wouldn't work. So it's seeing that, and the difference for me and you is I've made the mistake so many times that I've been able to figure out a lot of times how to avoid some of that. Where for you, like I always tell people, raising dogs isn't a spectator sport. You can watch all the videos you want. you won't be able to train your dog until you put the boots on the ground and you actually do it, which is what you're experiencing, what you're doing. I love that. I think it's real good that you've got a cautiousness about it, but the reasoning behind it maybe is more important. You understand that there can be ramifications of stuff. You recognize that, but I also, because I'm sensing this in the conversation, I don't want to see you paralyzed by hesitation. I want you to understand they're real resilient as well. Like, that's the beauty of them. Like, it's hard to screw them up. So now I say that because you already are cautious. If I got this sense from you of, hell, I'll just throw it at the wall and see if it sticks, then I'd say, be careful, because certain things could really impact. I'm not going to tell you because of what I'm getting from you. This just comes into reading stuff. I'm not going to tell you, be very cautious, Matt, because I'm afraid that would have you become a little bit less confident and a little bit more hesitant to do things. And here's the thing. So we're talking about how I'm reading this and how I'm trying to give you stuff that'll help, like that'll be beneficial. The dog is reading you the same that I read you. The dog is reading you. The importance of how the dog reads you is equally as important as how you read it, maybe more important. And so sometimes I tell people that are a little bit hesitant to make a decision. And I get point blunt, and I just get right to it. And I say, make a decision, Matt. Now, I'm not saying in this case, but there are conversations where I'll say, just go with it. Like, you've educated yourself to the most you can. You watched as many videos as you can. You've read about it as much as you can. Now it's literally doing it and responding it based on how the dog reacts. And your in the moment decision may be wrong. If you watch some of my videos, I could watch them and tell you, and trust me, people on YouTube tell it to me all the time. So there are plenty of things when you watch that video, you did this wrong. You should have done this. Well, clearly at 13 minutes and 42 seconds, you should have saw that. And I look at that and I go, you're damn right. You are right. But you go in front of the camera and you start doing it with the dog, not knowing, not having the luxury of sitting in a lazy boy and watching the show. You do it in the moment and then tell me that you'll never make a mistake, because if you do, I'll hire you. You should come and work for me. I need people like that. But so at times I make mistakes, but I make them with a little bit of confidence. And that doesn't make the result any different. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't jeopardize me in the dog's eyes. The dog still looks at me like he's the boss. I don't care if he is wrong. He is the boss. And I look at that and I go, there's value in it, because I won't make all the right decisions. So for you, at times, you're going to go think it through, and then you're going to go, you know what? Nothing happens if we don't do anything. So we're going to do it. And then you're going to look at it and go, oops, that was wrong. We'll change it. And then we won't do the same thing. And Pippa's going to look at you with a lot more respect, because she's going to go, whatever he says, I'll do it, even if it's wrong. But it's within reason. You don't make gigantic mistakes. We don't decide, I'm not saying this, and this is a good one good example to use is, I'm not saying this to say, hey, let's intro her to gunfire, get the 12 gauge out. Let's just go do it. I'm going to make the decision real confident. No, that's the wrong decision. Like, even if you made the decision confidently, it's wrong. So, but it's thinking that stuff through. It's the little subtle decisions that happen. Like when there's a training session going on, there's a million little micro decisions that get made. And it's this fluid, it's being fluid as a trainer. And that comes with confidence. And confidence comes with experience. And so the more opportunity you have to make these little micro decisions, and then read the results and recognize that worked good or that didn't work good, and then make a micro adjustment on the fly. Like that to me, a good trainer is able to make a lot of little micro adjustments based on what they read, and not necessarily always perfect with the decision or making it right or wrong. It's instead like, make a decision, read it, make another decision, read it, make another. And then eventually you start to get a little bit sharper, and it starts to click, it starts to make sense, and dogs feed off of it that way.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I can't believe.
I'm going to keep it a surprise. Because if I tell Matt that this is happening, he'll have a list of questions. And so if you're not asking my questions, because he had no idea this was going to happen.
Totally unprepared.
Yeah, totally unprepared.
But you know what? That's a good example of like it's a read and react type thing. You know, like you're totally right. If we had, and it's part of why I didn't want to. It's part of why I wanted to surprise you. So first off, I just thought it would be fun to surprise you. I thought that would be fun, and it is. I'm really enjoying it. But
I was even surprised that you messaged us back on Instagram. I just thought you'd have got thousands of messages every day.
We get a bunch. I mean,
the message you sent us on Instagram was you'd clearly seen the video, watched it properly, and spent the time to reply in quite a long message. And detailed as well. I said to you, didn't I can't believe it. But it was the level of detail you went into, like you do on your videos. It's just amazing, really.
I think it's important because you know we're a really small company and we sell products. I mean, we sell training products, but if you don't provide how to use them, what good are the products? You know what I mean? Like, so I look at it and I go, we have to support the stuff we do with information. And I'm a big believer. Everyone's got their own different ideas when it comes to business stuff, but I just think that we have to look, like our company has to look at us and we have to decide what's the reasoning for existing? What is our purpose? And the bottom line is it's to help people enjoy their dogs more. I think if people enjoy their dogs more, that's what we're doing our job. The business part will follow suit. Like, I'm not worried about that, but what we have not, like, how did you find our stuff on YouTube?
Yeah, I just typed in on YouTube gun dog training and yours came up, and I'd never heard of DogBoneHunter or yourself previously before. And then I clicked on the first one was I think it was a Bella one, but it was like episode 60 it was episode like 15 or somewhere around there where she was going into the water. And then from that point on, I was like hooked. So I was like, oh, hang on a second, there's 126 episodes here. Yeah. Let's go back to the beginning. And then I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is just what I want.
Well, I'm glad. And I just think that's it's exactly what we're trying to do. And it's what we really put a lot of effort into trying to make sure happens. And, you know, I when she reached out and asked about this, I just think it's I think it's better to surprise you because it'll be more fun, but I also think it's better to catch you where you can go, what's on your mind right now? Like, let's talk, like, because it goes back to that paralyzed thing. Like, you'd been more prepared if you knew we were going to do this because you'd have had a whole list of stuff. But but at the same time, I can prepare all I want to go out in the field with my dog for a session. You've seen it. I've had a list of things. We're going to do this, this, and this. And we don't get one of them done because none of it goes the way I wanted it to. So the reality is how things really happen in life aren't always. We took notes and we followed an outline and we hit the agenda and we had the high points. You know, there's a reason why I wanted to have a beer with you. Now it's your birthday, but I also wanted to have beer because I figured if it were me, if I were you, I'd go, I could really take the edge off right now. I could use a beer. Like that would taste real good. And so another reason why we add that in.
It's made my year, I think. I can't believe can't believe you kept so quiet about it. And oh man, it's made my year. And
awesome. I'm glad.
Keep doing what you're doing because it will just blow. I'm sure it will blow up. We're in England. It will blow up across the world. I'm sure it will. And
I really appreciate it.
The level of detail that you go into, the care that gets put into it, the truth behind it is a really important thing for me because you get to see everything. You don't get to see the highlights. It's not like Facebook where everything's highlights. It is the nitty gritty, and that's what sets you apart, and it's truly amazing. It really
Really
is.
appreciate it. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for getting
Oh,
back to us.
just-
And
yeah,
I'm
thank
gonna
you.
take a
Thank you so
screenshot
much.
because I'm gonna
Yeah,
write
take
this
a
thing.
screenshot.
Thank you.
Cheers, Jeremy.
I appreciate it, you guys.
Thanks.
We'll again, it doesn't end here. You know, if you don't hesitate to send messages, and I appreciate your patience, because just like everybody else, sometimes it takes me a little while to get back. But that's the stuff that keeps me going. That's motivation to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were just chuffed that you even messaged. We weren't even expecting a message back because you must have hundreds of thousands a week or a day or whatever. So, I mean, so chuffed that you messaged back, and well, this is just amazing. So, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
When the pandemic is over, I think you should experience it in English. I mean, you should. So you should come over.
Right, come over and we'll take you on a shoot.
Would love to. Would love to. Now, be careful if my wife hears this, because my wife's a big traveler and she just would love to do that kind of stuff. So we might have to take her up on it.
I know you have little girls, and I love kids, so you all are more than welcome to come and stay with us. Like,
Thank you
honestly,
so much.
it will be such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you so much, and we'll keep watching your videos.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.